Did Nintendo forget about Zelda? So obviously Nintendo didn't forget about Zelda, but they did seem to forget about the anniversary. There's been a lot of rumors about what Nintendo is going to do for Zelda's 40th anniversary. I've talked about it, and for the past 15 years or so, every 5 years, they've done something. It hasn't been celebrated as big as Mario's anniversaries, for example, but we usually get something, like whether it's an accessory, a game, a concert, like we usually get something, and I think at some point we will, but it's just very odd how Nintendo didn't even acknowledge this. Like, they didn't tweet about it, I couldn't find any posts. Maybe I'm wrong, but I haven't seen Nintendo acknowledge it in any way. They basically celebrated by releasing Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green because they did nothing else. And oddly enough, it makes me think that Nintendo is actually more likely to do something for the anniversary, because I feel like if they were truly doing nothing, they would have at least acknowledged it. Like, they would have just said happy 40th anniversary to the original Zelda. But the fact that they haven't announced anything leads me to believe that they're planning something. Now, I could be completely wrong. It could just be hopium, but so far there's no acknowledgement. Like, Nintendo of America, their Twitter account, has more posts about Pikmin Bloom turning 4 than Zelda's 40th anniversary, one of the most popular series having a pretty big anniversary. Now, for some series, I get not having like a big anniversary celebration. Like, Metroid turns 40 this year also, but it's a much smaller franchise. A lot of smaller Nintendo franchises aren't going to get the same treatment as Pokemon or Mario. But Zelda, I would think, would get something, considering that we got something for the 35th and the 30th and even the 25th. But at this point, what could it be? Could it be a new game, a remake, amiibo, a concert, an art book? It could be anything. I talked about this in this video here if you want to check that out. But I feel like they're just saving whatever it is for a direct that is hopefully coming soon. So I don't know when it would be coming, but if something is happening for the anniversary, it would probably happen in early March at this point. There was the rumors from Nash Weedle that turned into nothing. And usually we'll know about directs ahead of time. Like, Nate the Hate will usually know like around a week or so in advance. And there's only a week left in February now because it's a short month. So it's possible Nintendo is saving something for early March. March 10th is, of course, Mario Day, so I don't know, maybe they're saving it for that, but I don't think that's likely. It's just been a very slow few months for Nintendo. Outside of the whole random announcement of Fire Red and Leaf Green yesterday, what notable has there been for Nintendo in the past couple months? Like, we got the release of Animal Crossing Switch 2 Edition. We got Mario Tennis Fever, which I guess is the biggest thing they've done in the past couple months. We got the Tomodachi Life Direct, but we haven't gotten a full Direct since September. We got the Partner Direct earlier this month, which had absolutely nothing to do with Nintendo games themselves, which is obvious. So you would think that they would do something for Zelda's anniversary, especially knowing that there's not a lot going on right now, like having something to keep fans occupied. That's kind of what's leading me to believe that there is going to be something, that they're just saving it for whenever the direct is or some special event. Like, we're going into the first year, like we're finishing up on the first full year, like the first 12 months of the Switch 2, and we've got a no Zelda game, like no mainline Zelda game as a new one or a remake or remaster. And if we go back, like every Nintendo console, there's always been one within the first year or so. Like, the Switch obviously had Breath of the Wild, and I'm not counting Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom Switch 2 Edition because, I mean, those aren't even remasters, they're just slightly upgraded ports. The Wii U had Wind Waker in 2013. The 3DS had Ocarina of Time 3D pretty close to launch. The Wii had Twilight Princess at launch. So I guess it's really going back to the DS. That was like the last time we had to wait a little bit for mainline Zelda content. Because there's obviously a lot Nintendo can do. They can make remakes of Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask. They could port Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD. They could remake the Oracle games. They could remake Minish Cap. And one of the reasons they might not be in a rush to make Zelda games on Switch is because they see Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom Switch 2 Editions as like new games. There's obviously Switch Online, so you have access to a bunch of games. You have access to Zelda, Zelda 2, Four Swords, I believe, Wind Waker on GameCube, Link's Awakening, the original and the remake. Like, there's a lot of Zelda games you could play on Switch and Switch 2, so that could be part of their reasoning here. And going back to Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD, we might not be seeing that just because Wind Waker is already on GameCube Online, but Twilight Princess, oddly enough, isn't. At this point, I'm not even really hoping for Twilight Princess HD and Wind Waker HD on Switch, because knowing Nintendo, they would charge $70 for it now. Like, if they did a bundle of it, it would be $70. Even if they had like released ports of these games, it would probably still be $60 each, if not $70. So it would just be more controversy there. I think the only way I would pay $70 for a Zelda game on Switch is obviously if it's a new 3D Zelda. If there was like a remake, like a full remake, not a remaster of Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask, and it's like a really big remake, maybe I would. Actually, not. I probably would, because Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask are two of my favorite games. They are games that can use remakes. But if they just ported a remaster, that's not worth $70. It's barely even worth $60. Like, I have no reason to buy Twilight Princess and Wind Waker HD unless it's just a good deal. Because I have both those games on the Wii U, and the Switch version would not be any different. I can't imagine it being much different than, obviously, the convenience of being able to play it on the go and maybe like a higher resolution, but that's not going to be worth the price tag. So I'm just hoping that if we do get something for Zelda's anniversary, it's something that'll be worth it. I'm also curious if they do like any digital releases like they did for Pokemon. Because at this point, I don't know what they could even do for that, because most of the Zelda games are on NSO, and I don't think they're going to pull a Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green where they released like 3DS ports to the eShop and you had to pay like $30 for it. I don't think they would do that. I think if any DS or 3DS games came to Switch 2, it would be through like a remaster collection. Because so far every mainline Zelda game is on NSO that at least for the consoles that are on NSO, obviously not the Wii or DS 3s, and I take that back, except for Twilight Princess and Four Swords Adventures to my knowledge. I think the rest are there. But I don't know, there's things they could do. Like if they want to make like a physical release for like the DS games or the 3DS games, I could see the DS collection happening. The 3DS one, I don't know, because Triforce Heroes, I don't think anyone's really excited to play that again, but A Link Between Worlds is a great game. And it's stuck on the 3DS now, so I could see Nintendo doing something with that. But unless they just make like a full-on remaster, like Luigi's Mansion 2, like that kind of remaster, I don't think they would just straight up port it. I don't think there's a single 3DS game they've just ported like that without actually making like a meaningful remaster. And by meaningful remaster, I mean like actually like overhauling the visuals. I could be wrong in that, let me know in the comments. Like Luigi's Mansion 2 for $60, I don't think is a good price. I picked up a lot cheaper. It's the same game as the 3DS one, but the graphics are much better. It's not like they just upscaled it. Like it very much is greatly improved graphically. I'm just kind of hoping for a Zelda remake at this point, just to hold us over until we get a new 3D Zelda, because we're not gonna get the next mainline 3D Zelda for probably a couple of years, because Tears of the Kingdom came out in 2023, Breath of the Wild in 2017. Before that, it was 6 years, Skyward Sword. So it's basically like every 6 years, or at least has been every 5 or 6 years. So that leaves us with 2 to 3 years, maybe even longer, since it's probably going to be an even bigger game than Tears of the Kingdom. And I think remakes can be a good thing. I talked about this in another video. I don't think remakes inherently are bad. I think if they actually respect the original game while trying something new, while having really improved visuals, a lot of quality of life improvements, and just expanding on the original game without completely changing it, I think it could be a great thing. Like look at Link's Awakening, like that's a fantastic remake. Took the original, it's very faithful to it, but obviously has much better visuals, much better controls, better accessibility. Like that's all they really would need to do if they wanted to make Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask, because all we've gotten for those games in the 25 and 27 years, however many years, I think 26 and 28 years now, since those games originally released, was the 3DS remasters. And I think Ocarina of Time is an objectively better game than the original. I think people who say the Nintendo 64 version is better are just saying it because nostalgia. Majora's Mask, there's a much better argument for the N64 version being better, because the 3DS version did change some things. I think that the 3DS version is overhated. I do understand why someone would prefer the original for that. But these are worlds that still hold up all these years later, and we can only imagine what they would look like with actual Switch 2 visuals. Like, we've seen a lot of fan projects, and I know graphics aren't the most important thing when it comes to games. Like, the game itself is way more important. But I still think graphics, like having nice graphics, can really help improve a game. Like if a game looks really nice, like you can appreciate that. It would have better animations, the music would be refined. I'm sure all the control issues would also be fixed. We'd probably have like an actual camera to use, like not like a fixed camera or like a clunky camera. So if it was $70 for a full remake, not a remaster of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, I don't think that would be that crazy a price. That's something I would buy. Now, do I think Nintendo is going to do that? I don't know necessarily. I don't think they would, because at this point it's up in the air whether Nintendo is actually going to do something for Zelda's 40th anniversary. But I don't know, we'll have to see. Let me know in the comments, do you think we're going to see anything for Zelda's 40th? I want to hear your thoughts. Do you think Nintendo forgot it? Do you think they're just waiting? Do let me know, and be sure to subscribe.